What up, though? It's your girl Jay, and welcome to another episode of The Juice Box. And this is our February series where we touch on amazing Black individuals, African American individuals, Aboriginal individuals who made a huge, major difference in our society by just being alive and, standing in their truths and standing up for what they believe in. So today I would like to touch on the amazing individual, Crispus Attucks. And let me tell you a little bit about this guy. He was born into slavery, but he escaped, okay? And he ended up finding work on different ships as a sailor. He became a rope maker. So he was very resourceful. Now, during the time of his life when he was living in Boston, there was a lot of tension between the citizens of Boston and the government. At the time, the English government felt like they had to really keep the people of Boston under control because they were starting to rebel. And in this book, this book called The Afro-American in United States History. Here's a little quote from the book. It says, "The people there in Boston, full of thoughts of freedom from England, hated these soldiers. There were many arguments at times. Fights broke out between the people of the town and the soldiers." So, like I said, the English government felt like they really had to keep some control over the people. So they started funneling more soldiers into, I guess, the city to keep watch over them, keep, make sure they were following all the laws. The same way that today we have a lot of police in our streets, and the government may feel like they need to keep certain people under control. It's the same situation that people were living in during Crispus Attucks' lifetime. Okay, so on the day when Crispus lost his life, the day of the Boston Massacre, it says that there were some people of Boston, citizens of Boston, at a local pub, and an argument broke out between the citizens and the officers. And with this story, it's a lot of he said, she said, so we really don't know because we weren't there. But at the end of the day, a few people were throwing snowballs at the officers, and the officers, I guess, ended up saying that they were afraid, or the people made them scared. Maybe they was getting a little too wild or too crazy, but they fired off shots into the crowd of people, and Crispus Attucks happens to be right at the front line of the crowd, so he was leading the crowd. For one, let me start off by saying Boston was one of the busiest ports in New England at the time. So the government really relied on the merchants of the city and trading, etc., for it to thrive. At this point in time in history, the government decided to raise the taxes on the people. Now, Samuel Adams was one of the men who were trying to convince the people not to pay these raised taxes, because obviously they were raised at a ridiculous price, and maybe something that a lot of them couldn't afford, or maybe they weren't even used to paying that at the time. Maybe they knew that the government was trying to take advantage of them. Regardless of the fact, there were people that were fighting against these actions that the government were taking. Crispus Attucks had a lot of the same mindset, ideals as Sam Adams. He was also trying to make his people not pay the taxes, I guess be more aware of the circumstances that they were getting themselves into. He was a revolutionary. So he was the first one on the front line speaking the truth and really trying to get through to the people. So when the officers fired those shots, he lost his life. And not just that, when the officers were put on trial, the captain of the officer, it was 8 officers, and their captain was tried separately from them, and all of them were acquitted due to self-defense. Okay, just like today when officers might kill certain people in the streets and then they just get off with it and they have no consequences or they get paid leave, etc. The same thing has been repeating over and over again in history. So what are we going to do about it? Is some people fighting for the truth and trying to speak on certain things that are happening in the society, and there are some people that are trying to hide the truth. But the fact is, history actually happened, and if we study history, we can see how some things continue to happen and how we have the ability to change some of these things. Okay, so really, we don't want Crispus Attucks' life to be lost in vain. If we don't study history, we won't know what he was fighting for or why he was fighting. So, let's just take the time this month to study our history, to realize the importance of our history, and to realize that energy is never created or destroyed. So that goes with anything. Energy is not created or destroyed. The same energy that was out here long ago during Crispus Attucks' lifetime, raising taxes, trying to take advantage of the people, the same energy is around today. And the same energy, the spirit of truth, the spirit of God, the spirit of perseverance, the spirit that Crispus Attucks had, that same energy is also around. So, what side are you on? Who are you fighting for? And why are you fighting? Happy February! Thank you, Crispus, for being alive. And thank you for that day that you lost your life as well. Because without you, where would we be?